The Galactic Council had made a grave miscalculation. When the Zynthian Empire declared war on the human colony of New Terra, the Council expected a swift capitulation. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, barely a century into interstellar travel. Their technology was primitive, their military untested against proper warfare. The Zynthians would crush them, absorb their worlds, and the galaxy would continue spinning as it always had. But Earth didn't respond the way the Council anticipated. Kylie Murchison stood in the observation deck of the UNSC Retribution, watching the stars blur past as they approached the Zynthian front lines. She wasn't wearing the crisp uniform of a traditional commanding officer. Instead, her tactical gear was scarred and personalized, covered in tallies that made the Zynthian liaison officer physically recoil when he first saw them. "You're the human commander?" the Zynthian had asked, his translator struggling with his incredulous tone. Kylie had smiled, showing too many teeth. "Commander, no, I'm just very good at what I do." What Kylie did, what she had always done, was simple. She broke things and killed efficiently. Before the war, she'd been serving 3 consecutive life sentences in Earth's most secure military prison. Her crimes were classified, but whispers spoke of entire enemy installations going dark, of interrogations that yielded every secret, of missions that succeeded with 0 prisoners taken. When the Zynthians invaded New Terra and massacred the civilian population, Earth's military command made a decision that would echo through galactic history. They didn't mobilize their regular forces first. They opened the deepest, darkest cells of their prison system and made an offer: freedom. In exchange for war. Kylie had accepted before they finished explaining the terms. Lieutenant Murchison reporting. A voice crackled over her comm. William Thriss, her second in command, though that title was laughably formal. William had been a Black Ops specialist who'd gone rogue after his entire team was sacrificed as political pawns. His response had been methodical and devastating. He'd systematically eliminated everyone in the chain of command responsible, along with their families, their associates, and anyone who tried to stop him. Earth had sentenced him to death. The Zynthians had given him a second chance at life. Drop zone in 15 minutes, Kylie responded, checking her weapons for the dozenth time. Teams ready? Eager, William replied, and she could hear the grin in his voice. The retribution carried to 100 humans. Not one of them would have been allowed near civilized society under normal circumstances. Murderers, war criminals, psychopaths who'd been deemed too dangerous even for military service. Each one had been given a choice: rot in a cell, or unleash everything they were against humanity's enemies. The Galactic Council had rules about warfare: proportional response, prisoner treatment, civilian protection. Rules that had governed conflict for millennia. Rules that kept wars limited and civilized. Earth had different ideas about civilization. The drop ship screamed through Zynthian airspace, defensive systems struggling to track their erratic, almost suicidal approach vectors. Kylie felt her pulse quicken, that familiar electricity that came before violence. This was what she was made for, what every cell in her body craved. The Zynthian military fortress below housed 10,000 soldiers, orbital defense cannons, and the regional command structure. Standard galactic doctrine would call for a siege, negotiations, maybe a precision strike if you were aggressive. Kylie's mission parameters were simpler: kill everyone, destroy everything, send a message. They hit the ground in a storm of fire and fury. William's team breached the eastern bunker complex within 90 seconds. And the screaming started immediately after. Not human screaming. The Zynthians had never heard anything like the sounds their soldiers made when they encountered William's particular brand of creativity. Kylie moved through the fortress like a plague, her team operating with the precision of a surgical instrument and the mercy of a natural disaster. The Zynthians had shields, power armor, weapons that could level buildings. It didn't matter. They'd trained to fight soldiers. Warriors bound by codes of conduct and strategic objectives. They'd never encountered predators who smiled while they worked. By the time the sun rose over the Zynthian fortress, nothing moved except humans. The orbital cannons were slag, the command structure was atomized, and 10,000 Zynthian soldiers had learned a terrible truth. Humanity's monsters weren't stories to scare children. They were real, and Earth had taken off their leashes. Kylie stood in what remained of the command center, broadcasting on all Zynthian military frequencies. Blood spattered her face, her eyes bright with something that was either madness or perfect clarity. "This is a message from Earth," she said calmly. "You wanted war. You slaughtered our civilians, our children, our innocent. You thought we'd fight you with honor, with rules, with mercy." She paused, her smile widening. "We're not sending our best. We're sending our worst. Every prison, every dark hole where we locked away the things we were ashamed of, they're all open now. And we're coming for every single one of you." William appeared beside her, casually cleaning his blade. "Should we tell them about Phase 2? He asked. "Why ruin the surprise?" Kylie replied. The broadcast cut out, but the message had been received. Across Zynthian space, military commanders watched the footage with growing horror. This wasn't war as they understood it. This was extinction delivered with a smile. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, demanding Earth recall its forces, threatening sanctions and intervention. Earth's response was brief: "When our colonies are restored and reparations paid, we'll consider discussing terms. Until then, every day you delay, we deploy another battalion of killers, another wave of humanity's darkest nightmares." Kylie Murchison and William Thriss became names whispered in terror across the galaxy, not commanders leading armies, executioners conducting a symphony of violence that made seasoned warriors question everything they thought they knew about warfare. Earth hadn't deployed its military. It had unleashed its monsters, and the galaxy would never be the same.